It's been a little while. I'm excited to be back. Welcome to Seahawk Talk. My name is Zach. This is the place where we talk Seattle Seahawk football, and we got an awesome Week 11 review show for you today. I picked a good week to bounce back and get back in the saddle for the channel. Work is starting to chill out just a little bit, so I have the ability to do this and dive right into Seahawk content with you. I'm so excited to talk to you about Seattle's 20-17 road win that keeps their season alive against the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to talk about the keys to victory, what it took for Seattle to snag the win out of, to be honest, a very winnable game. Seattle never really truly fell out of this one, and I'm excited to talk to you about the adjustments that this team had to make during the bye week to be what I'm willing to argue is the best version of the Seattle Seahawks we are going to get this season. Let's talk about it now. Seattle finally, under the tenure of Geno Smith, snaps an 0-for-5 losing streak against the Niners and gets the win on the road against what was seemingly an upticking 49ers squad and a down-skidding Seahawks squad strolling into town off of a bye week. Geno does it. He puts the team on his back and is able to secure the victory off of a QB scamper, an impromptu quarterback run with 12 seconds left to go in this one, and it secures Seattle a much-needed victory that keeps them within a game of the NFC West. And now, next week, our matchup against the Arizona Cardinals takes a whole new shape as, well, seasons are going to start being defined starting next week in the NFC West. Look, I want to talk to you today about Geno Smith to start the show. Geno didn't really have a banner day, 25 of 32, 221, no touchdowns, and an interception. Of course, he did have that quarterback run there at the end of the game. And the thing I want to talk to you about today when it comes to Geno Smith is my perspective of him as a quarterback and how this team could do so much worse than Geno Smith at the helm. Listen, the thing about Geno Smith is that he does do things that can get fans very frustrated and upset. Look at the interception that happened early in the second half. Seattle needs to put on a drive in order to sort of cement their claim that they're just not going into the night. And Geno overthrows a ball after the beginning of the play. He's dodging defenders. He's running away from the rush. He does a great job at evading, and he just sails the ball to the left side of the field, and it's intercepted. It's not close to anybody. And though that version of Geno Smith is the New York Jets version of Geno that we're all scared is the real Geno Smith. And I'm willing to argue to you today that we need to take the good with the bad with Geno, because I'm willing to argue that the good with Geno Smith far outweighs his downsides as a quarterback. Does he get flustered at times and makes poor decisions? Of course, he leads the league in interceptions. But at the end of the day, his upside as a quarterback is something I'm not quite sure if I'm willing to trade off for a quarterback that maybe cannot do this. And that is Geno's clutch gene, and I want to talk to you about that today. Listen, when Geno came into the starting role as the Seattle Seahawks quarterback, since that moment on, he has the most 2-minute comebacks in the fourth quarter out of any quarterback in the NFL. Geno Smith, not Patrick Mahomes, not Joe Burrow, not Josh Allen. It's Geno Smith. Geno is the clutchest quarterback in the NFL when put in a situation where his team is down, they need to score a touchdown, and you have about 2 minutes to go and do this. That's the scenario Seattle found themselves in this past week, where after everything was said and done, after the Nick Bosa injury, which did play into Seattle's success. Look, I'm a realist. They were thumping our offensive line. They did an okay job, only allowing 4 sacks. Had a in and out right tackle with Abe Lucas, new center with Olu there, taking the place of now the retired Connor Williams. How crazy is that story? And they did the best they could, but you could tell it was really difficult for Geno. As soon as Bosa leaves, wow, shocker, this Seattle offense has time to throw the ball. And when Geno has time, this scheme, I tweeted about it, is it has such a good upside. The scheme is there. I believe in Grubb's offensive scheme. I love it. I think it's great, way better than Shane Waldron, and yet they don't quite have the offensive line to make it happen. And the crazy part is like Geno Smith is leading the league in passing yards, and if he had the offensive line to do that, how much more are we talking with Geno on a pass heavy offense? I'm not quite sure. I don't know. But what I do know is it doesn't quite matter what his offensive line is like, because he's played with terrible offensive lines his entire time here in Seattle, and he leads the league in fourth quarter comebacks. Geno Smith becomes a top 3 quarterback when the rubber meets the road and the game is on the line, and he absolutely has to perform. We're not talking about Geno Smith throwing back-breaking interceptions late in games that lead to our hearts being broken. I, as a fan, want close games, and I want Geno to have the ball. He even said in his post-game interview, "Put it on my shoulders. I want this." That's what you want from a quarterback, and not only the desire, but the ability to back that up. He has done a phenomenal job in the clutch. I talked about it last Tuesday on Joe Stevens' Seahawk Talk YouTube channel. I was texting him during the game. I was like, man, if he does this, like, we're geniuses, because we just talked about it. And sure enough, he makes the right reads. He finds Jackson Smith and Jigba, which, as a Tyler Lockett fan, I'm starting to see the writing on the wall where T-Lock, if he wants to keep playing, it might not be in a Seattle Seahawks uniform, because JSN's doing all the things that Tyler Lockett has done in the past, find gaps in open coverage and just sort of sit and fall, and he's been really good at sort of taking the best from T-Lock and the best from DK and mushing them both into his game. And JSN coming up clutch. Geno's really liking him. He's sort of his security blanket. He's making all the right reads. He knows when to not throw. He knows when to run the ball and be evasive and uses his legs. I don't know if I'm willing to give that up for a quarterback that is sort of just even keel. I would rather have a quarterback in a tight game. Hey, I might be frustrated. The game is tight, but put the ball in his hands. I got some really good confidence that Geno Smith is going to win that football game. So I don't know what to tell all the angry Seahawks fans out there when it comes to Geno Smith. Look, he's got some bad tendencies, but in my opinion, his upside in the clutch far outweighs the bad, and that's why I desperately want the Seahawks to make the playoffs this year, because the world will see if it is a close game. I think when the lights shine brightest, he can step in. He can be that guy. He's not going to shy away from the moment. After all, his first start against Russell Wilson, everybody was watching what happened. I mean, he was clutch. He was clutch, and he's done it over and over and over again. And I'm of the mind where I would rather have the clutch gene than the guy who's consistent. I want to win close football games, and Geno Smith at the helm certainly does that. Another highlight for this team is this defense. Now, we went through quite a bit of shakeup during the bye week in terms of our linebacking unit, getting rid of individuals on this squad, even fringe guys that I thought were decent and being deactivated to practice squad. That's tough. That is tough. I don't think a lot of us saw those big sweeping changes coming when it came to a Mike Macdonald team, but I personally, now that it has happened, I like the call. I think in the past with Geno Smith, with Pete Carroll, he just sort of gritted his teeth and was like, oh yeah, these guys are going to compete and it is what it is. Macdonald knows what he wants out of a defense, a bend but don't break system. And it's taken a long while for this team to figure themselves out, but I really think these guys have what it takes now to bring it all together. The addition of Ernest Jones is huge huge for this team, and he has shown that he is the man when it comes to making sure that the defense is working well. He had 6 tackles, he had 7 assists. I mean, he was all over the place. Hall had a sack. Jones had a sack. They were everywhere. And then Jonathan Haskins, of course, with that big man interception. That was really cool to see. But you saw it all come together out of the bye week with the Seahawks for this new look defense that is sort of the renaissance of the Legion of Boom. Bend, don't break, and be opportunistic. Reek Woolen was all over the place this past week. Witherspoon did a good job at making sure he was. I actually was thinking about Devin Witherspoon aside from week. Oh yeah, there he is. There's Reek. So both corners played pretty well. My main concern for this defense still is the rushing game, although this was a good litmus test. You hold McCaffrey to 79 yards rushing on, 19 carries? Can you ask for anything more? They struggled against a third-string running back last time we played this squad, and he had 200 yards rushing. So there's something happening within the Seahawks organization that should instill confidence in these guys that, hey, maybe it is coming together. Maybe the Mike McDonald system is actually going to work on defense, and if McDonald can just keep his hands away from Ryan Grubb's offense, they could be good. They could be good. Who knows? And that leads me to our last takeaway today. Playoffs. Look, when it comes to Seattle Seahawks, their playoff destiny is clear. Only one team from the West is getting in. You have Arizona sitting at 6 wins and the rest of the teams in the division sitting at 5 wins apiece. This division is not going to be good enough from top to bottom to secure more than one place in the playoffs. We just happen to be that division this year in the NFC, where I guess we're going to just manufacture one playoff team. I really believe that. I think San Francisco, especially with the Kittle and now new Bosa injury, they're too hurt. I think the Rams are too inconsistent. I would say Arizona's sort of the front runner to win the West right now, and you don't really know what you got out of this Seahawks team. You're not going to have 2 teams above 11 wins in this division. It cannot happen. They're going to beat up on each other the rest of the way. There's just not enough weeks left in the season for these guys to do this. And you have to go out there and win this division if you're going to make the playoffs. Last week was a huge week for the Seattle Seahawks in order to say, we're not done yet. We're going to keep fighting. We're not dead yet. We're still alive. We're fighting and clawing for every inch, and we're ready to go. And as a fan, that's really exciting. Multiple times this season, Seattle has been in what I thought were must-win games. I thought the Atlanta game was a must-win game. I thought this game was a must-win game. And McDonald has coached up his crew. Now, granted, they come off of a bye week to get to this place, and there were roster changes that were drastic and happened through the bye week that got this team to where it was. But if this is what it takes, if this is the point in which Seattle turns their season around, don't forget that quarterback scramble. Don't forget that very clutch game-winning drive, because without him, without Geno Smith, without this offensive line finally coming and sort of gelling together, this team is virtually dead in this NFL season. No hopes for the playoffs. They've lost to too many divisional teams. They would have went 0 for 3 in divisional play. That just, you can't have that as a playoff caliber team. And the exciting thing about the Seahawks is that if they're close and the conditions are right, they got the quarterback, they got the leadership to snatch victory out of the jaws of defeat. They've shown us that, especially this past week with their big win on the road against San Francisco. Things had to go their way, but they managed to get it done. I'm excited to preview for you on Thursday our game against the Arizona Cardinals. Huge playoff ramifications there. The battle for the West is fully underway now. We're going to start seeing teams win crucial games. Hopefully it's our Seahawks and we're able to do that. And we're going to go through our predictions. Have not been on YouTube for you to make predictions, but I've been keeping track here of my predictions during the NFL season while I've been away. Week 10 we went 6-8. Week 11 we went 9-7, and then the games that we talked about on week 9 here on the show had a really good week. Went 10-5 that week. So we're going to talk about where we stand for predictions on Thursday. We're going to make some predictions together. We're going to preview Seattle versus Arizona, and if you don't want to miss a thing, like, comment, and subscribe here on the channel. I hope to be able to be a bit more consistent for you as Seattle ramps up for a big playoff push down the stretch. And I think that is probably it. My name is Zach, and this is Zach Talks Hawks. Keep talking Hawks, and like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you again real soon. Bye.